All right, today we're looking at one of my trading secret weapons. And this is an indicator / tool I use every single day that I trade. It helps give me an idea where the SPX is heading. And I've used it many, many times to help me predict where the SPX will pin. And an amazingly accurate amount of times, it's been dead on the money and helped me cash in on a big SPX pin. So this is a trade I call the PinFinder, and it was created and developed by a good friend of mine, a genius who remains hidden in his lair, his secret laboratory, creating all sorts of trading indicator goodness. And hopefully soon, I've been twisting his arm, he'll reveal himself to the public as he should. He's an amazingly handsome man from a small European country. But I digress. Let's get into the tool. So again, this is a tool I call the PinFinder. And what it does, it's exclusive to the SPX right now. I think he says he may branch out with other underlines in the future, but right now it's just SPX, and that's just all fine and dandy for me because that's the only thing I trade is the SPX. So what this is, it just shows the chart of the SPX. This is set at a 15-minute time frame right here. And what this will do is you can see in this column here is the GEX. And me being a caveman, I'm not going to try to get all fancy on you and explain formulas and math and all that sort of thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I use this with amazing results. So let's get into it. So the first thing every morning when the market opens, I give it about like 15 minutes or so. Then I come in here and take a look at this. And the first thing I look at is where is this center line here? I think it's called the gamma flip line. And it's sort of like the, it's like the line in the sand from a bullish outlook to a bearish outlook. For example, if it opens up above this line here in the bullish zone, I'm willing to put some chips on the table and bet that we'll be leaning bullish. Where if it opened below that on the bearish side, I think that the indications could be good that we are leaning bearish. So that's like the first thing. They're kind of the signal. It's like, like licking my thumb and sticking my finger in the air to get an idea of what's going on out there and then planning accordingly. And then the other thing I do is I right off the bat look to see where the biggest bar is on this GEX column. And wherever the biggest bar is, I'd make a note of that. And I may, if it's far enough away, I might immediately put a super cheap butterfly at that level. And especially if that level coincides with a big round number. That's kind of one of my secret sauces. If I'm able to buy like a 5 cent or 10 cent butterfly at that line, at those areas, I'll do it because not only have I found that it could pin there at the end of the day, I can also use those super cheap butterflies that I can get for like 5 or 10 cents and do some amazing gymnastics or ninja moves, kung fu moves with them that you may have seen in my trainings, where throughout the day we can turn those little tiny simple narrow, super cheap butterflies into enormous profit mountains. So by using this GEX tool right off the bat and identifying areas where those GEX bars are big and then putting super cheap butterflies in those areas, it sort of kills two birds with one stone, as that could be where the SPX pins at end of day. It could be where the SPX moves towards like a magnet. And regardless, if I'm able to put a cheap butterfly at those levels, it can serve two purposes. It can either profit from a move towards those directions or a pin, a big payout with a pin, or I can just manage that butterfly and turn it into one of those big profit mountains. So that's pretty much it for the beginning of the day. And then throughout the day, I just keep an eye on it. See if those GEX levels, the biggest GEX level bar remains there, or if it moves and how it moves. And if it moves and where it moves to throughout the day helps me manage and lean and morph my positions to trap the SPX in the area where it's moving to. So throughout the day, I just keep my eye on it and lean and push and maneuver my positions in line with what that shows. It's what the GEX bars are showing me. And then at the very end of the day, like say the last hour, it really helps me start to narrow in on where the GEX will be landing at. And if I'm able to, I can also put on cheap butterflies or just maneuver positions in such a way so that, again, I'm just sort of circling my option positions around that big area to help provide me with the biggest potential profit opportunity and potentially a huge pin payout. So that's how I use this thing on a daily basis. So now let's kind of like dig into like the little bells and whistles he has onto this thing, which are really cool. All right, so first let's go over here to these two little drop downs right above these columns here. So if you just click here on this pull down menu, this first metric shows you the net GEX. The second metric shows you by default the option volume. But if you're interested in the open interest, for example, on the second metric, the options volume, you can change it to open interest. And then you'll see the open interest of each and every strike, which, can show you some sort of sentiment or you can also see the net DEX. So those are super easy to switch between, whichever one you want to look at. So now let's go over to this next pull down window right here. So here you can customize the appearance, which one you want to see first and second. And these are refreshed every single minute. So the default setting on these is net GEX and option volume, but you have the ability to change those to see what you prefer to see and in any combination that your heart desires. But again, the default setting is net GEX and option volume. All right, so now let's go up to here, these three little boxes. These will show you the top net option interest strikes if you're bullish, which correspond over here. So over here, you can see we have the bullish tab, the bearish tab, and the neutral tab. So if this is like a strategy finder, it looks at all the different option strikes and it'll show you the best, or it'll sort the different option strategies that are available. So if we have this set to bullish, we want to look for a bullish strategy. These little boxes over here will show you the top option interest strikes in a bullish scenario. So you can see in this case, the top bullish strikes are 6,800, 6,820, and 6,740. For example, let's say I click on bearish. I want to see bearish strategy. So I'll click here over here on this bearish button. And then this will bring up a sorted list of bearish strategies. But because we're looking now at bearish, we're looking for bearish strategies. Over here, this top net option interest, this will show you the top strikes with bearish option interest. So it depends on what your outlook is, if you're bearish or bullish or neutral. And if you click on any of them, like let's click on this middle one here, you'll see over here, it'll change this tab of the different trades that are available with that particular strike chosen. So for example, if you're looking at the butterfly, you'll see only one butterfly that shows up there in the scan. That has 6,500, this net option interest number, as the center strike of the butterfly, because that's the target strike. So you can filter the table by clicking on the buttons over here if you want to find and sort by net option interest. And if you don't want to filter it by that, just unclick the button. So it's just an easy and quick way to see if there's anything available at that particular strike with the top net option interest. And these buttons here, they're listed in order of the highest interest. So this first one here would be the top option interest, the highest number. The second one would be the second highest, and the third would be the third highest. Okay, and so then over here, this one here, the top net volume is the exact same thing. It just sorts them. It allows you to click on the button and look for strategies in this strategy finder in this box over here based on top net volume, which is the first button, second highest, third highest. And then the same thing over here with this third one where it says top net GEX. That's all the same. This is the top net GEX level. It's first button, second button, third button. That's just sorted in order of the highest. So if you want to find strategies based on that, you would just click on these different buttons. You would click on what type of a strategy you're looking for, like a bearish strategy. You would make sure over here is on bearish. And then if you want to sort by top net GEX, you would click on that first one. If you wanted to sort by top net volume, you would click on the first one, and so on and so forth. And if you're looking for bullish strategies, the same thing. You would just click the bullish button over here, and then these numbers here would show you what that top strike was for each of those there. So you could find and sort by top net GEX, or top net volume, or top net option interest. Okay. Now, if you were to click on neutral over here, it's not going to show you anything. That's just because it's neutral. But if you're looking for a bullish setup, you would just click on the bullish button over here. Make sure it's turned on and it's green. And then you can see it sorts in the top net GEX again here, which you could use to sort by, as well as top net volume and top net option interest. And just to correspond it with the chart, so the top net GEX right here, this is shown in this column. Top net volume is shown in this column, and the top net option interest you can have appear just by using these pull down windows and selecting whichever one you want to view. Okay, so now let's go over here and look at the strategy finder or filter. So let's say I was looking for a bullish strategy. We can just click here on the bullish button and we can sort these strategies and filter them based on the strategy. Like this is a butterfly. The strikes, you can see this shows the strikes. So this is going out and retrieving the data, finding all of the available strategies and putting them into a table here that you can sort so you can find the one that you want based on this criteria at the top. So these columns here are, of course, this one is strikes. This shows you the actual strikes of the butterfly. And there's various strategies in here you can choose from. You can look at butterflies, iron condors, credit spreads. So those are the strikes. The option is whether it's a call or a put. The width of the spread, you can see we have like 10 wide, 5 wide. And you can filter by all these, of course, just by clicking at the top of the table. Short, this column is the short delta, short strike of the position. So 56 is the delta of the short strike, the middle strike of the butterfly. This column here, the net delta, that is the delta of the entire position. So the price column is the price of the trade. So this is like a 40-cent credit. This is 35, so on and so forth. It just shows you the price, the credit you'll receive. Profit, this column is the maximum profit potential of the position. RR is the risk to reward on the position. The POP is the probability of profit. Okay, now over here, this is a really cool feature. So if I see this, if I find the trade that I want to place in this trade finder box here, and I want to put it into my Thinkorswim or my Tradier account or my OptionStrat account to like look at the risk graph, all I need to do is come over here and click on these little buttons here. So let's say I find a trade that I like, and I want to queue that up in my Thinkorswim. All I need to do is come over here, click that little Thinkorswim icon there for the appropriate trade. So I just click there and it automatically copies it for me. That copies that trade. Then I go over here and I click on paste trades in Thinkorswim. I click right there and you can see how it just loads that trade, the trade that was found in the PinFinder, just loads that trade right in here in Thinkorswim. And then if I want to analyze it, I'll just right click and say analyze trade. And then there you can see it in Thinkorswim. So it's just like with one click from the trade finder tool, you just click that Thinkorswim icon on the specific trade that the software found for you. Click on the icon, the Thinkorswim icon, come over to Thinkorswim and just paste it in here. And it just quickly and seamlessly builds and shows you that trade immediately. So you don't have to sit there in Thinkorswim and find it and rebuild it and all that. It just instantly imports it right in, which is super cool, super handy. And so that's Thinkorswim. Same thing with Tradier. If you have a Tradier account, you just click on the Tradier icon and it does the same thing. It'll just move you right over to Tradier and it'll create an order preset in Tradier for you. And then over here, OptionStrat, same thing. You would just click on the specific trade that the trade finder here in this box found for you. If you wanted to see that graphed out, you would just click on the OptionStrat icon for that particular trade. And so when you click on that for OptionStrat, it'll just take you right over to OptionStrat. Even if you don't have an account, it'll just take you over to this page where you can visually see the risk graph for that particular trade. Isn't that cool? Okay, so that's that part of the tool, the table. Now let's go up here and look at these real quick. So again, you can choose from bullish strategies, bearish, neutral, right here, these three buttons. So this presets button here, this will just save presets like the presets I'm going to show you here in just a second. You can have your own saved different presets that you can always just quickly go back to based on what I'm about to show you here with the filters. So let's go over here to the filter icon, and when we click on the filter icon, we see this. So here with the filter, you can customize the table, all the different parameters of this table down here where you'll find the different available strategies. So this is where you can customize them. So right here, you can see it has default strategies that you can put in here. Here's butterflies. So this is showing if this is in here, the table will show you butterflies. You can add different strategies in here or remove them in this window here just by clicking on the little X, or entering the new strategy you want to look at, or just clicking the X to eliminate them. Or you can have them all in there. You can have all the different available different types of strategies in this window, which will look for all of them. Same thing here, strike width. You can put in whatever strike width you want the table to find. You can filter that to whatever your preference is regarding the strike width. And same thing here, the target strike. You can choose which target strike you want and have them look at numerous target strikes or just one. And so the presets button, this gray button, like this will just save those presets so you can quickly choose between different setups that you've preset here to filter in a particular way. So for example, over here in the strategy, you can see the butterfly. If we scroll down a little bit, this also has a vertical in there that it'll be searching for. If you want to remove all verticals from the filter, you just click on that, get rid of the vertical, and then the table will not show you verticals, only butterflies. Same over here. If you don't want to see 5 strike widths, you only want to see 10 strike widths in the filter, you just remove them and then it'll only show you the 10 width butterflies. And over here, if you want to target a butterfly with a particular strike, you can just select that strike that you want to target and it will just show you that in the filtered results. And then up here, these sliders. So with the slider set to this setting right here, this will just show you the results where the maximum credit you can get is 250 and maximum debit is 250. It'll just keep it within that parameter. If you want to change that, you just change the slider. So then over here on this slider, this is the risk to reward slider. This will just filter down the different trades that have a very low to very high risk to reward. depending on where you move those sliders. And remember, with all these different settings that you're doing here, like with excluding different types of strategies or strike widths or the sliders, you can save all those settings if you want to just by coming up here to this gray button and opening that and creating a separate named filter for each of those. So say you want to set this overall setup as a saved filter, you just click here on the gray button and you can come down here to save and save that as its own saved filter. And then later on, you can come back and load that particular setup, that filter setup, if you want to reuse it again in the future. So if you don't know what to set up, I would just leave the default filter. Just use the default filter to start off with. And then as you get more accustomed and familiar with this, then you can start to play around and tweak it and whatnot. But if you're unsure to begin with, just leave the default settings as they are. Now, if we click on this little gear icon right here, it'll open up this window. And this just gives you the ability to include whichever ones of these that are here with the blue little check marks in the window. So these all have a blue check mark on them. These just represent what columns are showing down here in the box. So for example, right now the break-even 1 is turned off and the break-even 2 is turned off. So those aren't showing. If you want to have those showing down here in the filter box, you would just turn them on. Or if you want to remove columns, like a column that isn't that important to you and you just want to remove it out of there, you would just uncheck the box. And again, to get to this little window here, you just click on that little gear icon right there. And so for example, if you wanted to see the break evens for this particular strategy, like the break evens for the butterfly on a column, you would turn those on and then those columns would show up and you could see the actual break even number or price on SPX for the break evens. I just have those turned off right now. But with any of these, you can just turn on what you want to see and turn off what you don't want to see. And then right here, there's this is a refresh page. So say you just want to, if you just let this thing sit for a couple hours and you want to refresh it, you just hit this, it'll refresh to the current price, but you also have the auto refresh ability here. If you just put this little check box on next to auto refresh, this thing will refresh every 1 minute on its own by itself, like magic. And so then one last thing here I want to show you, which is really cool. Maybe you already saw it when I was going through this, but on the actual graph itself, you can see the lines of each strategy. So if I click on this particular strategy that the filter found over here on the chart, you can see the actual lines of that position, the long leg, the short leg, and the long leg. So it just visually graphs out on the chart where the different strikes are of that particular position in the table. So again, the green is the lower leg of the butterfly, the red is the center strike, and the green up here is the top strike. So it just gives you a visual reference on the chart itself of where that butterfly, where that position is located and where each of the strikes are located on the chart. So that's it. That's my PinFinder tool. And again, this is something that I use every single day. And this is one of my main secret weapons. A lot of people ask me how I'm able to get so many pins. And this is the answer to that question. This thing will show me pins. And even I am amazed at how often I'm able to get pins. I mean, this, of course, like anything else, isn't 100% foolproof. Nothing is, that I found anyway. If there is, please contact me. There's a big bounty for that. I'm willing to pay a lot of money for something that's 100% guaranteed proof every single time. And what I like about this whole setup here is that it just it integrates with this table over here, where I'm able to super quickly sort and find positions I can use on 0 DTE options throughout the day and filter them as I wish, see them on the chart. And what I'll do a lot of the time is a lot of times with my positions, I like to do little scalps on the outer edges to bring in additional income, like quick little scalps like on far out of the money credit spreads on either end, or butterflies that are cheap. And this tool here, this table, allows me to find them super fast. Otherwise, I'd be sitting there in the Thinkorswim option chain, just digging around, wasting time. This thing will sort them super quick with these columns that I can change and look at each column or sort by each column to help me narrow in on them super quick. And then all I need to do is just click that button, that TOS button, and it'll copy the exact trade so I can quickly import it into Thinkorswim. I'm not wasting time, looking for trades, trying to build them out and all that. So that's the PinFinder tool. And everyone who is in the Boomer Dan Next Level program, the Boomer Dan Next Level Full Access program, my developer friend has allowed me to give you a special discount rate, so you're not paying the normal rate on this. So if you're interested in this, contact me and I'll get you that rate. And even without that rate, this thing is super affordable compared to other tools out there on the market that don't include all this other cool fancy stuff, this table, this filter, these other features where I can quickly sort and find different 0DTE strategies, setups, super quick that I can fly into Thinkorswim and use. So regardless if you get it at the discount price through my next level program or at just the regular price, I consider this a no-brainer. Because think about this for a second. I've consistently gotten numerous pins throughout the month on the SPX, like on a 5-point wide butterfly. And each of those pins can bring in like up to $480. So if you consider, if I'm able to make at least $480 minimum on a month using this tool to get a pin, that is, for me, I consider that an investment because the price of this tool is far less than $480. I mean, it's ridiculously low. So just that alone, if I'm able to get one pin of these a month or more, is for me a total no-brainer. All right, so that's it for the PinFinder tool. Again, this was a game changer and I consider it one of my secret weapons. If you'd like to learn more about it for yourself and how to access it, or if you have any other questions about it, just reach out to me. The fastest way to get a hold of me is just to go over to my website. I'll leave a link to my website in the description below. Head on over there, sign up for my free email newsletter. As soon as you sign up for that, you'll get a welcome email sent out to you. Just reply back to that welcome email and say, just reference something about the PinFinder or Pinhead. Put Pinhead or PinFinder in the subject line of the email or the body, and then ask your questions or whatever else you want to know, and I'll get back to you right away. All right, that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.